Hey everybody, welcome back. Thanks for coming back and joining in on the fun. This is a continuation of my 62 Ford Falcon project. Calling it no turning back, because every time I take a turn, I'm not turning back. I'm just going to keep cutting and making it what I want to make it. This is the steering column out of it. It's actually out of a 66 or 5 Lincoln Continental. So what I've done is modified the bottom here and added a new U-joint and put a bearing on the end, cap the bottom of it, and that way it slides right through the firewall in the car, and kind of like a street rod style deal. But it's got a rag joint on the other end, and goes into the power steering, the original power steering box from the Blazer front end that I got. Just adapted it and used some new links there for it. What I'm doing actually is stripping the column down, and it had some weird turn signal lever in it that was actually, it looked cable operated. A cable rode all the way down here from the end in here. This, the mechanism I'll show you in just a second. Cable ran through and came down here to a switch that kind of looked like a vacuum switch, but it was electrical. It was weird looking, and it was broken. It didn't work. So I'm kind of trying to come up with a new plan, because I still want to keep this column because it is a tilt, and I wanted to put a tilt wheel on the car without spending a couple $100 on a aftermarket tilt column. Kind of gone a little stuck with this one long enough that I think I'm just going to put a, well, try at least put a new blinker cam in it. This is the original style blinker cam that came in the column here. And we'll turn it around here so I can show you a little bit better, I guess. Just went in here on this pivot and kind of ran on these little round spots here. Pulled all that out because, like I said, the other end was broken and this was missing a spring. I didn't even bother to see if I could get another one. I might be able to, but I may be doing this the hard way, which 9 times out of 10 I am. So this is out of a early 60s Falcon, which I'm more familiar with, and I know you can get, the base is fine. You can get the base, I believe, but I know you can get the cam and just retrofit it to this. I've got one that's in good shape. It just needs the cam because one of the little ears is broke, the cancellation ear. So what I did, went ahead, like I said, I went ahead and pulled the internals apart here, and I figured out that I was able to fish this wire down in here, kind of like the original Falcon column, which is not tilt. I was worried about the tilt function pinching the wires. It actually comes through pretty easy once I got the other mechanism out of the way, and I was able to kind of fold that in there, and it fits in there good. I'm just gonna have to build a little adapter plate to hold that, and I'll have to drill a new hole for the turn signal lever to fit in. It'll just be up a little higher, and this is a pot metal type metal material, and you can just JB weld over that hole, smooth it over. I've done it before when I took a column and made it a floor mount column, or a floor mount shift instead of a column shift. So it holds up just fine. You can body work over that, and it'll be nice and smooth and painted to match the rest of the interior. This is what the original collar looked like that held the Falcon, and I think these are actually 70s, all the way through the 70s, late 70s Ford trucks. Not sure about the vans, but I know for sure because this came off of probably a 75 or so Ford pickup truck. And use these to, you can use these in the junkyard. You can still kind of find them some. They're a little harder to find nowadays. You might even be able to buy them. But this is how you can get rid of the 3 on the tree and go to a floor shift if you want to do a floor shift automatic or a manual. It gets rid of the shifter collar for the shifter lever. But keep that in the back in my stash. My original plan was to cut this guy out of here and just mount it inside the column here. It's gonna fight me to get back out. It's a little snug because the top of this column tapers a bit. Still think that might be the better way to go because that provides the mount location. I'll get my big head out of the way. I think that still may be the way to go. Cut the center out because that provides a mounting location for the 3 screws here. And it'll just mount right on. I need to figure out a way to put a plate in there to mount these screws, those little square-headed screws that capture it as you feed it in. I may do that, or like this one here has some screws here that fit this collar on in place. I could just use those screw holes and maybe drill 2 more and really secure it in the column here. I'm not afraid to cut this up because I'm not going to use it. That's why I have it in my part stash in case I come up with an idea like this. Not too sure how I'm going to go about cutting it to kind of keep it intact the best I can. Let's go ahead and give that a shot. I've already got it marked out where it's pretty thin in there, but it's still going to fight, and try to mount it up in the vise here and get it cut out. So I think what I'm going to do, I changed my plan a little bit. It's very similar to what this one out of the truck is going to be doing for me. This one's out of, I think it's out of a 62 Falcon. And I like this switch set up a little better. It's got, instead of the plastic, which is what your later stuff is, this is all metal. And I don't see this failing like the other one. The other one will break an ear off or something like that if they get a little older and a little brittle. I have this on hand, it's complete. I then want to go with it. And still the same plan though of attack. Cut this center out of here so this ring will actually fit down in this column. So slight taper, so it's just barely big enough that it won't clear. And that'll give me something, give me back the original mounting points for this turn signal switch, complete with the original style bullet connectors and a horn button. So I'll have to figure that out. It won't be as difficult to figure that out. So yeah, we'll take that apart. Like I said, we'll go ahead and grind this down, and we'll be right back. All right, after a lot of grinding, I went back and flattened this out a little bit better. It actually sits down there really nice where I want it, and it's just below the lip there, so I think that'll leave me enough room once I install the mechanism here. It's still just below, and I've got a little bit of room here around these guys. When the steering wheel is on, it's got a little bit of a dome shape in it, and it'll clear these springs nicely. So I think we'll run with this. I need to figure out a way to just attach it into the column here, and we'll go from there. I've got a couple ideas swirling about, but yeah, we'll go from there. I've got a little scrap piece of aluminum. I'm gonna be able to cut this into a shape, and I think I'll tap this surface in here with some of the smallest screws I have, and fix that in there, and fix this to the top of that, so it'll be like an adapter. Hopefully that won't add back what I just took out of it to clear the column, which it probably will. All right, what I did to get the shape here, I used my cheap die chem, so just a blue Sharpie. I'm gonna lay that over here and scribe around it, and I'm gonna trim this plate out, and that'll kind of serve as my adapter plate inside the column here. seems to work pretty good. You're accurate with your scribing. Get a pretty decent result. And just make sure you hold that where it's supposed to be. You start walking around on you and then you scribe it in the wrong spot. Alright. Get that cut out. Alright, I got a little plate made, trued up a little bit. It's still not perfect, but you'll never see it. Not really too concerned with that. Concern is with function. Fits down in there really nicely. As you can just barely see it. Let me adjust the camera a little bit. And that will, like I said, let me put this in there. I need to do a little notch for the pivot for the turn signal mechanism. I don't think that'll fit down in there really nicely. And if I have to, I'll touch that a little bit just to get it to clear here. Need a little bit of maneuvering to get it in there. You gotta hold your mouth right. I think it'll work good. We'll keep on at it. I got a little holder drill, like I said, for the arm to go in. Maybe I can find some little screws. I might get the smallest tap size I have and see if I can find a screw to go in there. I may just do that. But yeah, there you go. All right, guys, I got the adapter plate in here. I got a little trim out for the stud here for the pivot mechanism for the blinker cam assembly there. This will slide in place. Just like so. Slide this guy in place, like so. And if you, there you go. Sit right down, it's still just underneath that. I think that'll give me just enough room for the mechanism to sit and still clear the steering column. All right, guys, this is the final modification I've made for the column for the blinker assembly adapter I've made. I know a lot of this won't apply to your project, but it kind of gives you an idea that you can modify a lot of stuff and get away with making it your own, making it fit your project. You know, you don't always have to go to a catalog and buy all the expensive parts and pieces. This car is on a budget, and I kind of enjoy the budget aspect of it. It's what can I do to make the parts that I have work. You know, like I said, you don't always have to go to a catalog. And you can, there's nothing wrong with that. But sometimes I enjoy the modifications and the customizing of the parts that I have on hand, and sometimes I go to a catalog too. It's not a big deal. Anyway, little aluminum plate here I made, and it simply threads into, there's a cast aluminum piece inside here that's part of the tilt mechanism, and I found two spots that I could drill and tap, and I run a little screw in each side so it holds this plate in place. And then this guy here that's been modified, this is the original base, so it has the new blinker pivot point on it, and that'll give me something for the stalk to pivot on, and it won't rock around inside there, because that was what I found out earlier before I drilled and tapped these into it, that the whole assembly would kind of shift around and not give a good positive feedback. So we'll go back through here and reassemble it and show you how it works. Alright, so this is the horn, and this is your blinker switch. And cancellation mechanism to make all that work. So this kind of just feeds down in here. I've already got the wires fed through the column, and there's no interference issues there, so just leave them in there. There's no sense in pulling all that out again. Get these screws lined up. And originally I was going to use these holes here, which is part of the original assembly, which clamshells all this together. If you've ever worked on a early Falcon, probably a Mustang too, I think they're the exact same column. It's kind of a cumbersome deal to assemble the blinker assembly. But I don't need those holes anymore. I'm not gonna use them. They would have worked. I probably could have threaded that base in there and it would have worked the same, but these 2 screws here thread into that aluminum fine and it holds it nicely. So we'll come through and put the horn button in place. And I still have to add the cancellation stud to the back of this. I'll drill a hole and find out the appropriate location so that it's centered on these guys here. These are little cancellation nubs, spring-loaded pieces, and that goes in like that. So I have to have a stud in this region here that'll pivot back and forth and catch that and cancel whichever way you're going, left or right. That'll cancel out and be fine. One cumbersome piece is this top screw, because I have 4 little washers in here that kind of help space it out, because when I went at it with a grinder, I accidentally ground one of the ears off too low, and the switch kind of had a strange angle to it, which wasn't allowing it to work correctly. But hopefully this will be the last time I put this all together, and it'll be just fine. Sorry if the lighting's terrible. I'm kind of doing this in the evening. Do it when I can. Maybe one day this will be a full-time gig. There we go. Make sure that wire doesn't get pinched. And earlier I knocked this bearing out, but I actually realized I need it because that gives that upper support back to the column. That'll fall in once you remove the nut. So what I did is drilled out this washer to fit. So that goes just over that and actually captures, pushes against this part here, the body of the blinker assembly. I put this retaining nut back in there, and it's got a little keyway here that fits in right here. And that'll keep it from backing out. And these little ears, you just fold them back over onto the sides of the nut there. So we'll get this back in place. So we get this tightened up, and I actually have to pull the shaft up a little bit because of the bearing, the way the bearing is. This actually sandwiches it all in place. So we'll go around the other side here, get this tightened up. I'm not to strip it out. A little too tight. It's kind of like a wheel bearing. You got to kind of give it a little bit of preload. I'm going to back off a little bit. Back off a little bit. That's backing off. And give it a little bit more back off here. Feels pretty good. Give it a little couple spins there, loosen that up, and I'll probably go ahead and tap those guys, and so they'll be final fit. And make sure you use a flat blade screwdriver and a crescent wrench as your hammer and your driving device, because you know we love using our tools properly. All right, so this guy is your cam. and that's what your turn signal pivots on. That's what your turn signal stalk threads into. And we'll slide that in. It does have a little wave washer on it. It locks in there. And the spring, the original spring, shot off into God knows wherever. So I found this other spring here out of something I took apart and made it work, made it fit. There's a little keeper in there that this pushes against, and that gives the turn signal cam a little tension. It's kind of cumbersome to put in place as well. All right, there we go. Turned out better on camera, of course. All right, so we'll put that together. That's the final fit for the blinker assembly. And I've already drilled a new hole here, and it came up about an inch, I guess. So that is, like I said, the new blinker assembly. Left turn signal and right turn signal. And I have to come back and figure out the cancellation deal. And some way or another to ground the horn circuit so that works. I'll probably take something and add to the bottom of this plate here, this steering wheel adapter. It's got some holes that I can extend the threads a little bit and maybe make a plate that will work with the front horn cap, and ground that horn circuit out and make it work. So that's that, and run the little nut down, and that's it. I think that's going to work out great. So this is the little tilt wheel function, little tilt wheel arm. And actually, the stalk is in a great spot. It's right there where your fingers are. It may actually need to be bent back a little bit because that's from grabbing the wheel and turning. I'm going to hit that just like that. So I may come in there and shorten that up, move it in, make it a little more symmetrical with this guy. You know, I can reach in there with my hand and do like that. So I'll probably bring that in about 1.5 inches or so, and make that fit a little better. But that's the blinker assembly. Pretty happy with that. I know it'll work really well. And we'll get to putting a little filler around this column, getting that smoothed up, and that'll be a wrap on the steering column project. All right, so I came in here and got rid of the old blinker hole, the stalk for the old blinker hole. Got a little JB weld on that. Went ahead and added some more JB weld here because there was another hole. I think that had the park drive indication on it that was lit. So we'll go through here and I'll go ahead and grind that all off with a hand file. But that will take the place. That's the new location for the blinker assembly. And we'll get that in there, and it works just fine. Still need to work on the cancellation. I think it's just a pin I'll put in here and drill a hole and place that in the correct spot. And as you spin the wheel in the opposite direction of your turn, it'll cancel, just like any aftermarket wheel adapter has on it. It's pretty simple little deal. So we'll come through here with the file. Pretty aggressive file here. It does get clogged up pretty easy, so you have to file a little bit and come by with a little wire wheel. Get that cleaned out. But I don't want to bore you to sitting here grinding this down, so be right back. just kind of a rough end. I'm gonna go back over with some body filler and really get it dialed in pretty nicely. And I put a good coat of paint on it and match the interior paint and the color. And it'll look pretty nice. It'll look like it's never been there. Started feeling pretty good, pretty smooth. Get these edges, get it feathered in. Get this sanded. I've got a little 120 here on my sanding block. And give it a good little bit of scratches so I can go back over it with some filler. I'm just sanding down the JB Weld right now. It's a little tougher than filler. And like I said, we'll get some scratches in it and promote some adhesion so it'll stick. Two little spots that I filled in. That's the old blinker spot, and the other one was an indicator spot. Don't need either one. Get a little acetone on a rag. I'll get that cleaned up. Use a little bit of this quick dry glazing putty. It's a really good product. I don't have any huge holes and it's not a big area, so I find this stuff works just fine. It's not a big place for body work. We'll get a little, spread it out with my dirty hands. Don't do that. Get it nice and blended. Don't need a big blob of it. You can get it spread out and it'll help when you go to sand. It won't take as long to sand off. Try to keep it out of little pockets there and mechanism so it won't get all clogged up. And there's no need to film sanding that smooth and making it all pretty. I'm sure everybody's seen bodywork videos and Bondo dry and paint dry. It's boring, so you know the deal. Sand it down. I'll hit that with a little 220, and I'll probably go up to about 400, 320 if I got it. All right, I got the column all reassembled. Got the stalks in. I went ahead and marked this stalk. I think I'm gonna take it shorten it about 2 inches. So I'll have to cut down here and rethread the end. I'd take a grinder and taper it down a little bit and run a die over it and tap it or thread it. See if we took the mouth off. Probably a little bit more. I don't want to go too far though. I'll touch it a little bit more. Clamp here in the vise, get my die in, correct orientation. A little tap fluid on there. Cut nice. We'll thread this into the column here. Make sure it threads in nicely. All right, cool. So that'll work nicely there. That'll give me plenty of room to grab the wheel, steer aggressively, and not hit the blinker assembly. Turn the blinker on left, right. You can go down the road like an idiot with your blinker on. I'll probably still do it anyway, but you know what I mean. So that's that. So that fits nicely. Plenty of room for the steering wheel to go around and clear your hand. And I like that a lot. Gives them a good little look, shorten them up nicely. And that's a wrap. Like I said, that's a wrap. And I really like how that turned out. I think it'll work great. If you guys don't mind, like it, share it, subscribe, and stick around for more videos. Thanks for watching Big Lake Hot Rods.